Hadīth 70. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if Allah loves a person, he calls Gabriel saying, Allah loves so and so, O Gabriel, love him. Gabriel would love him, and then Gabriel would make an announcement among the residents of the heaven, Allah loves so and so, therefore, you should love him also. So, all the residents of the heavens would love him, and then he is granted the pleasure of the people of the earth. Hadīth 71. Narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, none will have the sweetness, delight, of faith, a, till he loves a person and loves him only for Allah's sake, b, until it becomes dearer to him to be thrown in the fire than to revert to disbelief, heathenism, after Allah has brought him out of it, c, until Allah and his apostle become dearer to him than anything else. Hadīth 72. Narrated Abdullāh bin Zama, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade laughing at a person who passes wind, and said, how does any one of you beat his wife as he beats the stallion camel and then he may embrace, sleep with, her? And Hisham said, as he beats his slave. Hadīth 73. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said at Mina, do you know what day is today? They, the people, replied, Allah and his apostle know better. He said, today is 10th of Dhul-Hijjah, the sacred, forbidden, day. Do you know what town is this town? They, the people, replied, Allah and his apostle know better. He said, this is the forbidden, sacred town, Makkah, a sanctuary. And do you know which month is this month? They, the people, replied, Allah and his apostle know better. He said, this is the sacred, forbidden, month. He added, Allah has made your blood, your properties and your honor sacred to one another, that is, Muslims, like the sanctity of this day of yours, in this month of yours, in this town of yours. Hadīth 74. Narrated Abdullāh, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, abusing a Muslim is fusūq, that is, an evil doing, and killing him is kufr, disbelief. Hadīth 75. Narrated Abu Dharr, that he heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, if somebody accuses another of fusūq, by calling him fasiq, that is, a wicked person, or accuses him of kufr, such an accusation will revert to him, that is, the accuser, if his companion, the accused, is innocent. Hadīth 76. Narrated Anas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was neither a fahish, one who had a bad tongue, nor a sabbāba, one who abuses others, and he used to say while admonishing somebody, what is wrong with him? May dust be on his forehead. Hadīth 77. Narrated Thabit bin ad-Dahhak, who was one of the companions who gave the pledge of allegiance to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, underneath the tree, Al-Hudaybiyah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever swears by a religion other than Islam, that is, if somebody swears by saying that he is a non-Muslim, for example, a Jew or a Christian, etc., in case he is telling a lie, he is really so if his oath is false, and a person is not bound to fulfill a vow about a thing which he does not possess. And if somebody commits suicide with anything in this world, he will be tortured with that very thing on the day of resurrection. And if somebody curses a believer, then his sin will be as if he murdered him. And whoever accuses a believer of kufr, disbelief, then it is as if he killed him. Hadīth 78. Narrated Sulaiman bin Surad, a man from the companions of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, two men abused each other in front of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and one of them became angry, and his anger became so intense that his face became swollen and changed. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I know a word the saying of which will cause him to relax if he does say it. Then a man went to him and informed him of the statement of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, seek refuge with Allah from Satan. On that, the angry man said, do you find anything wrong with me? Am I insane? Go away. Hadith 79. Narrated Ubadah bin As-Samit, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, went out to inform the people about the date of the night of decree, Al-Qadr. There happened a quarrel between two Muslim men. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I came out to inform you about the night of Al-Qadr, but as so-and-so and so-and-so quarreled, so the news about it had been taken away, and maybe it was better for you. So look for it in the 9th, the 7th, or the 5th, of the last 10 days of Ramadan. Hadith 80. Narrated Ma'rur, I saw Abu Darr wearing a burd, garment, and his slave too was wearing a burd, so I said, to Abu Darr, if you take this, burda of your slave, and wear it, along with yours, you will have a nice suit, costume, and you may give him another garment. Abu Darr said, there was a quarrel between me and another man whose mother was a non-Arab and I called her bad names. The man mentioned, complained about, me to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, did you abuse so-and-so? I said, yes. He said, did you call his mother bad names? I said, yes. He said, you still have the traits of the pre-Islamic period of ignorance. I said, do I still have ignorance, even now in my old age? He said, yes, they, slaves or servants, are your brothers, and Allah has put them under your command. So the one under whose hand Allah has put his brother, should feed him of what he eats, and give him dresses of what he wears, and should not ask him to do a thing beyond his capacity. And if at all he asks him to do a hard task, he should help him therein. Hadith 81. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, led us in the Zuhr prayer, offering only 2 rakat and then, finished it, with taslim, and went to a piece of wood in front of the mosque and put his hand over it. Abu Bakr and Umar were also present among the people on that day but dared not talk to him about his unfinished prayer. And the hasty people went away, wondering, has the prayer been shortened? Among the people, there was a man whom the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to call Dhul Yadain, the long-armed. He said, O Allah's Prophet! Have you forgotten or has the prayer been shortened? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, neither have I forgotten, nor has it been shortened. They, the people, said, surely, you have forgotten, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Dhul Yadain has told the truth. So the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, got up and offered other 2 rakat and finished his prayer with taslim. Then he said takbir, performed a prostration of ordinary duration or longer, then he raised his head and said takbir and performed another prostration of ordinary duration or longer, and then raised his head and said takbir, that is, he performed the 2 prostrations of sahu, that is, forgetfulness. Hadith 82. Narrated Ibn Abbas, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, passed by 2 graves and said, both of them, persons in the grave, are being tortured, and they are not being tortured for a major sin. This one used not to save himself from being soiled with his urine, and the other used to go about with calumnies, among the people to rouse hostilities. For example, one goes to a person and tells him that so-and-so says about him such and such evil things. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then asked for a green leaf of a date palm tree, split it into 2 pieces and planted one on each grave and said, it is hoped that their punishment may be abated till those 2 pieces of the leaf get dried. Hadith 83. Narrated Abu Usaid as-Sa'idi, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the best family among the Ansar is the Banu an-Najjar. Hadith 84. Narrated Aisha, a man asked permission to enter upon Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, admit him. What an evil brother of his people or a son of his people. But when the man entered, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, spoke to him in a very polite manner. And when that person left, I said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. You had said what you had said, yet you spoke to him in a very polite manner. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Aisha. The worst people are those whom the people desert or leave in order to save themselves from their dirty language or from their transgression. Hadith 85. Narrated Ibn Abbas, once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, went through the graveyards of Medina and heard the voices of two humans who were being tortured in their graves. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, They are being punished, but they are not being punished because of a major sin, yet their sins are great. One of them used not to save himself from being soiled with the urine, and the other used to go about with calumnies, An-Namima. Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, asked for a green palm tree leaf and split it into two pieces and placed one piece on each grave, saying, I hope that their punishment may be abated as long as these pieces of the leaf are not dried. Hadith 86. Narrated Hudayfa, I heard the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, A Qattat will not enter paradise. Hadith 87. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Whoever does not give up false statements, that is, telling lies, and evil deeds, and speaking bad words to others, Allah is not in need of his fasting, leaving his food and drink. Hadith 88. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, The worst people in the sight of Allah on the day of resurrection will be the double-faced people who appear to some people with one face and to other people with another face. Hadith 89. Narrated Ibn Mas'ud, once Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, divided and distributed the war booty. An Ansar man said, By Allah, Muhammad, by this distribution, did not intend to please Allah. So I came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and informed him about it, whereupon his face became changed with anger and he said, May Allah bestow his mercy on Moses, for he was hurt with more than this, yet he remained patient. Hadith 90. Narrated Abu Musa, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, heard a man praising another man and he was exaggerating in his praise. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to him, You have destroyed, or cut, the back of the man. Hadith 91. Narrated Abu Bakr, a man was mentioned before the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and another man praised him greatly. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, May Allah's mercy be on you. You have cut the neck of your friend. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, repeated this sentence many times and said, If it is indispensable for any one of you to praise someone, then he should say, I think that he is so and so, if he really thinks that he is such. Allah is the one who will take his accounts, as he knows his reality, and no one can sanctify anybody before Allah. Khalid said, Woe to you, instead of, Allah's mercy be on you. Hadith 92. Narrated Salim, that his father said, When Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, mentioned what he mentioned about the hanging of the izar, waist sheet, Abu Bakr said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. My izar slackens on one side, without my intention. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, You are not among those who, out of pride, drag their izars behind them. Hadith 93. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, continued for such and such period imagining that he had slept, had sexual relations, with his wives, and in fact he did not. One day, he said to me, O Aisha, Allah has instructed me regarding a matter about which I had asked him. There came to me two men, one of them sat near my feet and the other near my head. The one near my feet asked the one near my head, pointing at me, What is wrong with this man? The latter replied, He is under the effect of magic. The first one asked, Who had worked magic on him? The other replied, Labid bin Asam. The first one asked, "What material did he use?" The other replied, "The skin of the pollen of a male date tree with a comb and the hair stuck to it, kept under a stone in the well of Darwan." Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, went to that well and said, "This is the same well which was shown to me in the dream. The tops of its date palm trees look like the heads of the devils, and its water looks like the henna infusion." Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered that those things be taken out. I said, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, won't you disclose the magic object?" The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Allah has cured me and I hate to circulate the evil among the people." Aisha added, "The magician, Labid bin Asam, was a man from Bani Zuraik, an ally of the Jews." Hadith 94. Narrated Abu Hurairah, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Beware of suspicion, for suspicion is the worst of false tales, and do not look for the other's faults, and do not spy, and do not be jealous of one another, and do not desert, cut your relation with one another, and do not hate one another, and O Allah's worshippers, be brothers, as Allah has ordered you." Hadith 95. Narrated Anas bin Malik, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Do not hate one another, and do not be jealous of one another, and do not desert each other, and O Allah's worshippers, be brothers." Lo! It is not permissible for any Muslim to desert, not talk to, his brother, Muslim, for more than 3 days. Hadith 96. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Beware of suspicion, for suspicion is the worst of false tales. And do not look for the other's faults, and do not do spying on one another, and do not practice nudge, and do not be jealous of one another, and do not hate one another, and do not desert, stop talking to one another. And O Allah's worshippers, be brothers." Hadith 97. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "I do not think that so-and-so and so-and-so know anything of our religion." And Al-Layth said, "These two persons were among the hypocrites." Hadith 98. Narrated Al-Layth, Aisha said, "The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, entered upon me one day and said, O Aisha, I do not think that so-and-so and so-and-so know anything of our religion which we follow." Hadith 99. Narrated Abu Hurairah, I heard Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying, "All the sins of my followers will be forgiven except those of the Mujahireen, those who commit a sin openly or disclose their sins to the people." An example of such disclosure is that a person commits a sin at night, and though Allah screens it from the public, then he comes in the morning, and says, "Oh so-and-so, I did such and such evil deed yesterday," though he spent his night screened by his Lord, none knowing about his sin, and in the morning he removes Allah's screen from himself. Hadith 100. Narrated Safwan bin Muhriz, a man asked Ibn Umar, "What did you hear Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, saying regarding an-najwa, secret talk between Allah and his believing worshipper on the Day of Judgment?" He said, "The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, one of you will come close to his Lord till he will shelter him in his screen and say, 'Did you commit such and such sin?' He will say, 'Yes.' Then Allah will say, 'Did you commit such and such sin?' He will say, 'Yes.' So Allah will make him confess all his sins, and he will say, 'I screened them, your sins, for you in the world, and today I forgive them for you.'" Hadith 101. Narrated Harithah bin Wahab al-Khuzai, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Shall I inform you about the people of paradise? They comprise every obscure, unimportant, humble person, and if he takes Allah's oath that he will do that thing, Allah will fulfill his oath by doing that. Shall I inform you about the people of the fire? They comprise every cruel, violent, proud and conceited person." Hadith 102. Anas bin Malik said, any of the female slaves of Medina could take hold of the hand of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and take him wherever she wished. Hadith 103. Narrated Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, that she was told that Abdullāh bin Az-Zubayr, on hearing that she was selling or giving something as a gift, said, by Allah, if Aisha does not give up this, I will declare her incompetent to dispose of her wealth. I said, did he, Abdullāh bin Az-Zubayr, say so? They, people, said, yes. Aisha said, I vow to Allah that I will never speak to Ibn Az-Zubayr. When this desertion lasted long, Abdullāh bin Az-Zubayr sought intercession with her, but she said, by Allah, I will not accept the intercession of anyone for him, and will not commit a sin by breaking my vow. When this state of affairs was prolonged on Ibn Az-Zubayr, he felt it hard on him. He said to Al-Miswar bin Makramah and Abdur-Rahman bin Al-Aswad bin Abd Yaguth, who were from the tribe of Bani Zuhra, I beseech you, by Allah, to let me enter upon Aisha, for it is unlawful for her to vow to cut the relation with me. So Al-Miswar and Abdur-Rahman, wrapping their sheets around themselves, asked Aisha's permission saying, peace and Allah's mercy and blessings be upon you. Shall we come in? Aisha said, come in. They said, all of us. She said, yes, come in all of you, not knowing that Ibn Az-Zubayr was also with them. So when they entered, Ibn Az-Zubayr entered the screened place and got hold of Aisha and started requesting her to excuse him, and wept. Al-Miswar and Abdur-Rahman also started requesting her to speak to him and to accept his repentance. They said, to her, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, forbade what you know of deserting, not speaking to your Muslim brethren, for it is unlawful for any Muslim not to talk to his brother for more than 3 nights, days. So when they increased their reminding her of the superiority of having good relation with kith and kin, and of excusing others' sins, and brought her down to a critical situation, she started reminding them, and wept, saying, I have made a vow, and the question of vow is a difficult one. They, Al-Miswar and Abdur-Rahman, persisted in their appeal till she spoke with Abdullāh bin Az-Zubayr and she manumitted 40 slaves as an expiation for her vow. Later on, whenever she remembered her vow, she used to weep so much that her veil used to become wet with her tears. Hadith 104. Narrated Anas bin Malik, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, do not hate one another, nor be jealous of one another, and do not desert one another, but O Allah's worshippers, be brothers. And it is unlawful for a Muslim to desert his brother Muslim, and not to talk to him, for more than 3 nights. Hadith 105. Narrated Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, it is not lawful for a man to desert his brother Muslim for more than 3 nights. It is unlawful for them that, when they meet, one of them turns his face away from the other, and the other turns his face from the former, and the better of the two will be the one who greets the other first. Hadith 106. Narrated Aisha, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I know whether you are angry or pleased. I said, how do you know that, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him? He said, when you are pleased, you say, yes, by the Lord of Muhammad, but when you are angry, you say, no, by the Lord of Abraham. I said, yes, I do not leave except your name. Hadith 107. Narrated Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, I do not remember my parents believing in any religion other than the religion of Islam, and are being visited by Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, in the morning and in the evening. One day, while we were sitting in the house of Abu Bakr, my father, at noon, someone said, this is Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, coming at an hour at which he never used to visit us. Abu Bakr said, there must be something very urgent that has brought him at this hour. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I have been allowed to go out of Makkah to migrate. Hadith 108. Narrated Anas bin Malik, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, visited a household among the Ansar, and he took a meal with them. When he intended to leave, he asked for a place in that house for him to pray, so a mat sprinkled with water was put and he offered prayer over it, and invoked for Allah's blessing upon them, his hosts. Hadith 109. Narrated Abdullāh, Umar saw a silken cloak over a man, for sale, so he took it to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, O Allah's Apostle, buy this and wear it when the delegates come to you. He said, the silk is worn by one who will have no share in the hereafter. Some time passed after this event, and then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, sent a similar cloak to him. Umar brought that cloak back to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, you have sent this to me, and you said about a similar one what you said? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I have sent it to you so that you may get money by selling it. Because of this, Ibn Umar used to hate the silken markings on the garments. Hadith 110. Narrated Anas, when Abdur-Rahman came to us, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, established a bond of brotherhood between him and Sa'd bin ar-Rabi'a. Once the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, as you, O Abdur-Rahman, have married, give a wedding banquet even if with one sheep. Hadith 111. Narrated Asim, I said to Anas bin Malik, did it reach you that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, there is no treaty of brotherhood in Islam? Anas said, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, made a treaty of brotherhood between the Ansar and the Quraysh in my home. Hadith 112. Narrated Aisha, Rifa al-Qurazi divorced his wife irrevocably, that is, that divorce was the final. Later on, Abdur-Rahman bin Az-Zubayr married her after him. She came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. I was Rifa''s wife and he divorced me thrice, and then I was married to Abdur-Rahman bin Az-Zubayr, who, by Allah has nothing with him except something like this fringe, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, showing a fringe she had taken from her covering sheet. Abu Bakr was sitting with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, while Khalid ibn Sa'id bin al-As was sitting at the gate of the room waiting for admission. Khalid started calling Abu Bakr, O Abu Bakr, why don't you reprove this lady from what she is openly saying before Allah's Apostle? Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, did nothing except smiling, and then said, to the lady, perhaps you want to go back to Rifa'ah? No, it is not possible, unless and until you enjoy the sexual relation with him, Abdur-Rahman, and he enjoys the sexual relation with you. Hadith 113. Narrated Sa'd, Umar bin al-Khattab asked permission of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, to see him while some Qurayshi women were sitting with him and they were asking him to give them more financial support while raising their voices over the voice of the Prophet. When Umar asked permission to enter, all of them hurried to screen themselves. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, admitted Umar and he entered, while the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was smiling. Umar said, May Allah always keep you smiling, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Let my father and mother be sacrificed for you. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I am astonished at these women who were with me. As soon as they heard your voice, they hastened to screen themselves. Umar said, You have more right that they should be afraid of you, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. And then he, Umar, turned towards them and said, O enemies of your souls! You are afraid of me and not of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him? The women replied, Yes, for you are sterner and harsher than Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, O Ibn al-Khattab! By him in whose hands my life is, whenever Satan sees you taking away, he follows a way other than yours. Hadith 114. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, when Allah's apostle was in Taif, trying to conquer it, he said to his companions, "Tomorrow we will return to Medina, if Allah wills." Some of the companions of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "We will not leave till we conquer it." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Therefore, be ready to fight tomorrow." On the following day, they, Muslims, fought fiercely with the people of Taif, and suffered many wounds. Then Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Tomorrow we will return to Medina, if Allah wills." His companions kept quiet this time. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, then smiled. Hadith 115. Narrated Abu Hurairah, a man came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, "I have been ruined, for I have had sexual relation with my wife in Ramadan, while I was fasting." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said to him, "Manumit a slave." The man said, "I cannot afford that." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Then, fast for 2 successive months continuously." The man said, "I cannot do that." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Then, feed 60 poor persons." The man said, "I have nothing to feed them with." Then a big basket full of dates was brought to the Prophet. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Where is the questioner? Go and give this in charity." The man said, "Shall I give this in charity to a poorer person than I? By Allah, there is no family in between these 2 mountains of Medina who are poorer than we." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then smiled till his premolar teeth became visible, and said, "Then, feed your family with it." Hadith 116. Narrated Anas bin Malik, while I was going along with Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, who was wearing a Najrani burd sheet with a thick border, a Bedouin overtook the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and pulled his rida sheet forcibly. I looked at the side of the shoulder of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and noticed that the edge of the rida had left a mark on it because of the violence of his pull. The Bedouin said, "O Muhammad, order for me some of Allah's property which you have." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, turned towards him, smiled, and ordered that he be given something. Hadith 117. Narrated Jarir, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did not screen himself from me, had never prevented me from entering upon him, since I embraced Islam, and whenever he saw me, he would receive me with a smile. Once I told him that I could not sit firm on horses. He stroked me on the chest with his hand, and said, "O Allah, make him firm, and make him a guiding and a rightly guided man." Hadith 118. Narrated Zainab bint Salama, Sulaim said, "O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Verily Allah is not shy of telling you the truth. Is it essential for a woman to take a bath after she had a wet dream, nocturnal sexual discharge?" He said, "Yes, if she notices discharge." On that, Salama laughed and said, "Does a woman get a nocturnal sexual discharge?" He said, "How then does her son resemble her, his mother?" Hadith 119. Narrated Aisha, I never saw the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, laughing to an extent that one could see his palate, but he always used to smile only. Hadith 120. Narrated Anas, a man came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, on a Friday while he, the Prophet, was delivering a sermon at Medina, and said, "There is lack of rain, so please invoke your Lord to bless us with the rain." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, looked at the sky when no cloud could be detected. Then he invoked Allah for rain. Clouds started gathering together and it rained till the Medina valleys started flowing with water. It continued raining till the next Friday. Then that man, or some other man, stood up while the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was delivering the Friday sermon, and said, "We are drowned, please invoke your Lord to withhold it, rain, from us." The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, smiled and said twice or thrice, "O Allah! Please let it rain round about us and not upon us." The cloud started dispersing over Medina to the right and to the left, and it rained round about Medina and not upon Medina. Allah showed them, the people, the miracle of His Prophet and his response to his invocation. Hadith 121. Narrated Abdullāh, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Truthfulness leads to righteousness, and righteousness leads to paradise. And a man keeps on telling the truth until he becomes a truthful person. Falsehood leads to al-fujur, that is, wickedness, evil-doing, and al-fujur, wickedness, leads to the hell, fire, and a man may keep on telling lies till he is written before Allah a liar." Hadith 122. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "The signs of a hypocrite are three: whenever he speaks, he tells a lie, and whenever he promises, he breaks his promise, and whenever he is entrusted, he betrays, proves to be dishonest." Hadith 123. Narrated Samurah bin Jundub, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "I saw, in a dream, two men came to me." Then the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, narrated the story, saying, "They said, the person, the one whose cheek you saw being torn away, from the mouth to the ear, was a liar and used to tell lies, and the people would report those lies on his authority till they spread all over the world. So he will be punished like that till the day of resurrection." Hadith 124. Narrated Hudayfah, from among the people, Ibn Abd greatly resembled Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, in solemn gait and good appearance of piety, and in calmness and sobriety from the time he goes out of his house till he returns to it. But we do not know how he behaves with his family when he is alone with them. Hadith 125. Narrated Tariq, Abdullāh said, "The best talk is Allah's book, Quran, and the best guidance is the guidance of Muhammad." Hadith 126. Narrated Abu Musa, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "None is more patient than Allah against the harmful saying. He hears from the people they ascribe children to him, yet he gives them health and supplies them with provision." Hadith 127. Narrated Abdullāh, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, divided and distributed something as he used to do for some of his distributions. A man from the Ansar said, "By Allah, in this division the pleasure of Allah has not been intended." I said, "I will definitely tell this to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him." So I went to him while he was sitting with his companions and told him of it secretly. That was hard upon the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and the color of his face changed, and he became so angry that I wished I had not told him. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then said, "Moses was harmed with more than this, yet he remained patient." Hadith 128. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, did something and allowed his people to do it, but some people refrained from doing it. When the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, learned of that, he delivered a sermon, and after having sent praises to Allah, he said, "What is wrong with such people as refrain from doing a thing that I do? By Allah, I know Allah better than them, and I am more afraid of him than them." Hadith 129. Narrated Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was more shy than a virgin in her separate room. And if he saw a thing which he disliked, we would recognize that feeling in his face. Hadith 130. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "If a man says to his brother, 'O kafir, disbeliever,' then surely one of them is such, that is, a kafir." Hadith 131. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, if anyone says to his brother, O disbeliever, then surely, one of them is such. Hadith 132. Narrated Thabit bin ad-Dahhak, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever swears by a religion other than Islam, that is, if he swears by saying that he is a non-Muslim in case he is telling a lie, then he is as he says if his oath is false, and whoever commits suicide with something, will be punished with the same thing in the hell fire, and cursing a believer is like murdering him, and whoever accuses a believer of disbelief, then it is as if he had killed him. Hadith 133. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullāh, Mu'adh bin Jabal used to pray with the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and then go to lead his people in prayer. Once he led the people in prayer and recited Surah Al-Baqarah. A man left the row of the praying people, and offered light prayer separately, and went away. When Mu'adh came to know about it, he said, that man, is a hypocrite. Later, that man heard what Mu'adh said about him, so he came to the Prophet and said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. We are people who work with our own hands and irrigate our farms with our camels. Last night Mu'adh led us in the night prayer and he recited Surah Al-Baqarah, so I offered my prayer separately, and because of that, he accused me of being a hypocrite. The Prophet called Mu'adh and said thrice, O Mu'adh, you are putting the people to trials? Recite by the sun and its brightness, Surah 91, or, exalt the name of your Lord, the Most High, Surah 87, or the like. Hadith 134. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, whoever amongst you swears, saying by error, in his oath, by Al-Lat and Al-Uzza, then he should say, none has the right to be worshipped but Allah. And whoever says to his companions, come let me gamble with you, then he must give something in charity, as an expiation for such a sin. Hadith 135. Narrated Ibn Umar, that he found Umar bin al-Khattab in a group of people and he was swearing by his father. So Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, called them, saying, Verily, Allah forbids you to swear by your fathers. If one has to take an oath, he should swear by Allah or otherwise keep quiet. Hadith 136. Narrated Aisha, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, entered upon me while there was a curtain having pictures of animals in the house. His face got red with anger, and then he got hold of the curtain and tore it into pieces. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, such people as paint these pictures will receive the severest punishment on the day of resurrection. Hadith 137. Narrated Abu Mas'ud, a man came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, I keep away from the morning prayer only because such and such person prolongs the prayer when he leads us in it. The narrator added, I had never seen Allah's apostle more furious in giving advice than he was on that day. He said, O people! There are some among you who make others dislike good deeds, cause the others to have aversion to congregational prayers. Beware! Whoever among you leads the people in prayer should not prolong it, because among them there are the sick, the old, and the needy. Hadith 138. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, while the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was praying, he saw sputum on the wall of the mosque, in the direction of the Qibla, and so he scraped it off with his hand, and the sign of disgust was apparent from his face, and then said, whenever any one of you is in prayer, he should not spit in front of him, in prayer, because Allah is in front of him. Hadith 139. Narrated Zayd bin Khalid al-Juhani, a man asked Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, about al-Luqata, a lost fallen purse or a thing picked up by somebody. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, you should announce it publicly for 1 year, and then remember and recognize the tying material of its container, and then you can spend it. If its owner comes to you, then you should pay him its equivalent. The man said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. What about a lost sheep? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Take it, because it is for you, for your brother, or for the wolf. The man again said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. What about a lost camel? Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, became very angry and furious, and his cheeks became red, or his face became red, and he said, You have nothing to do with it, the camel, for it has its food and its water container with it till it meets its owner. Hadith 140. Narrated Zayd bin Thabit, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, made a small room, with a palm leaf mat. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, came out of his house, and prayed in it. Some men came and joined him in his prayer. Then again the next night they came for the prayer, but Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, delayed and did not come out to them. So they raised their voices and knocked the door with small stones, to draw his attention. He came out to them in a state of anger, saying, You are still insisting on your deed, that is, Tarawih prayer in the mosque, that I thought that this prayer, Tarawih, might become obligatory on you. So you people, offer this prayer at your homes, for the best prayer of a person is the one which he offers at home, except the compulsory, congregational, prayer. Hadith 141. Narrated Abu Hurairah, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, The strong is not the one who overcomes the people by his strength, but the strong is the one who controls himself while in anger. Hadith 142. Narrated Sulaiman bin Surad, two men abused each other in front of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, while we were sitting with him. One of the two abused his companion furiously and his face became red. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, I know a word, sentence, the saying of which will cause him to relax if this man says it. Only if he said, I seek refuge with Allah from Satan, the outcast. So they said to that furious man, Don't you hear what the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, is saying? He said, I am not mad. Hadith 143. Narrated Abu Hurairah, a man said to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, Advise me. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Do not become angry and furious. The man asked the same again and again, and the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said in each case, Do not become angry and furious. Hadith 144. Narrated Abu As-Sawwar al-Adawi, Imran bin Husayn said, The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Haya, pious shyness from committing religious indiscretions, does not bring anything except good. Thereupon Bashir bin Ka'b said, It is written in the wisdom paper, Haya leads to solemnity, Haya leads to tranquility, peace of mind. Imran said to him, I am narrating to you the saying of Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and you are speaking about your paper, wisdom book? Hadith 145. Narrated Abdullāh bin Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, passed by a man who was admonishing his brother regarding Haya, pious shyness from committing religious indiscretions, and was saying, You are very shy, and I am afraid that might harm you. On that, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, Leave him, for Haya is a part of faith. Hadith 146. Narrated Abu Sa'id, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was more shy, from Haya, pious shyness from committing religious indiscretions, than a veiled virgin girl. Hadith 147. Narrated Abu Mas'ud, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, One of the sayings of the early prophets which the people have got is, If you don't feel ashamed, from Haya, pious shyness from committing religious indiscretions, do whatever you like. Hadith 148. Narrated Salama, Sulaym came to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, and said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. Verily, Allah does not feel shy to tell the truth. If a woman gets a nocturnal sexual discharge, has a wet dream, is it essential for her to take a bath? He replied, yes, if she notices a discharge. Hadith 149. Narrated Ibn Umar, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the example of a believer is like a green tree, the leaves of which do not fall. The people said, it is such and such tree. It is such and such tree. I intended to say that it was the date palm tree, but I was a young boy and felt shy to answer. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, it is the date palm tree. Ibn Umar added, I told that to Umar, who said, had you said it, I would have preferred it to such and such a thing. Hadith 150. Narrated Thabit, that he heard Anas saying, a woman came to the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, offering herself to him in marriage, saying, have you got any interest in me, that is, would you like to marry me? Anas's daughter said, how shameless that woman was. On that, Anas said, she is better than you, for she presented herself to Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, for marriage. Hadith 151. Narrated Abu Musa, that when Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, sent him and Mu'ad bin Jabal to Yemen, he said to them, facilitate things for the people, treat the people in the most agreeable way, and do not make things difficult for them, and give them glad tidings, and let them not have aversion, that is, to make the people hate good deeds, and you should both work in cooperation and mutual understanding, obey each other. Abu Musa said, O Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him. We are in a land in which a drink named al-bit is prepared from honey, and another drink named al-mizr is prepared from barley. On that, Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, said, all intoxicants, that is, all alcoholic drinks, are prohibited. Hadith 152. Narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, make things easy for the people, and do not make it difficult for them, and make them calm, with glad tidings, and do not repulse them. Hadith 153. Narrated Aisha, whenever Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, was given the choice of one of two matters, he would choose the easier of the two as long as it was not sinful to do so, but if it was sinful, he would not approach it. Allah's Apostle never took revenge over anybody for his own sake, but he did, only when Allah's legal bindings were outraged, in which case he would take revenge for Allah's sake. Hadith 154. Narrated Al-Azraq bin Qais, we were in the city of Al-Ahwaz on the bank of a river which had dried up. Then Abu Barzah al-Aslami came riding a horse, and he started praying and let his horse loose. The horse ran away, so Abu Barzah interrupted his prayer and went after the horse till he caught it and brought it, and then he offered his prayer. There was a man amongst us who was, from the Khawarij, having a different opinion. He came saying, look at this old man. He left his prayer because of a horse. On that, Abu Barzah came to us and said, since the time I left Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, nobody has admonished me. My house is very far from this place, and if I had carried on praying and left my horse, I could not have reached my house till night. Then Abu Barzah mentioned that he had been in the company of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and that he had seen his leniency. Hadith 155. Narrated Abu Hurairah, a Bedouin urinated in the mosque, and the people rushed to beat him. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered them to leave him and pour a bucket or a tumbler, full, of water over the place where he had passed urine. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, then said, you have been sent to make things easy, for the people, and you have not been sent to make things difficult for them. Hadith 156. Narrated Anas bin Malik, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, used to mix with us to the extent that he would say to a younger brother of mine, O Aba Umayr. What did the Nugair, a kind of bird, do? Hadith 157. Narrated Aisha, I used to play with the dolls in the presence of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and my girl friends also used to play with me. When Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings be upon him, used to enter my dwelling place, they used to hide themselves, but the Prophet would call them to join and play with me. The playing with the dolls and similar images is forbidden, but it was allowed for Aisha at that time, as she was a little girl, not yet reached the age of puberty. Hadith 158. Narrated Aisha, a man asked permission to see the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. He said, let him come in, what an evil man of the tribe he is. Or, what an evil brother of the tribe he is. But when he entered, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, spoke to him gently in a polite manner. I said to him, O Allah's Apostle, you have said what you have said, then you spoke to him in a very gentle and polite manner? The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, said, the worst people in the sight of Allah are those whom the people leave, undisturbed, to save themselves from their dirty language. Hadith 159. Narrated Abdullāh bin Abu Mulaika, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was given a gift of a few silken cloaks with gold buttons. He distributed them amongst some of his companions and put aside one of them for Makramah. When Makramah came, the Prophet said, I kept this for you. Ayyub, the sub-narrator, held his garment to show how the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, showed the cloak to Makramah, who had something unfavorable about his temper.